what's going to be How's It Hanging? How's It Happen? You guys know this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast, sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, the best custom computing technology for anything you need, whether it's custom computer for streaming, gaming, creative music, they got it for you. Go down to the description of our podcast, get $100 off your entire build using the code CPPOD at darkfusionsystems.com. Again, thank you very much. And now time for feature presentation. It's our 500th episode. And there is no better person I'd want on this as a guest than our second guest ever and the most recurring guest ever on the podcast, Jonathan Norris from Kingdom Collapse. We talk about literally how impactful Kingdom Collapse has been to so many people. We talk about their upcoming tours with Saint Asonia and Saul, and give a tribute to one of our great friends, Mr. Joe Alfaro. You guys ready? Let's go! Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. I can't believe I'm saying this. This is episode number 500. We've been doing that. We had this for more than 5 years, and I wanted to bring on the most proper guest for this episode. So I reached out to the man who was the second guest we ever had. The second guest we ever had has appeared on the podcast the most amount of times. And this band just keeps growing bigger and bigger every single time we have them on. They're going to be touring with Saul throughout the spring and then going on tour with Saint Asonia right afterwards with some new music coming out, a couple of festival appearances at Rockfest and Incarceration. But you guys know what I'm talking about. One of our favorite guests, if not our favorite guest ever on the podcast. Please welcome back Jonathan Norris from Kingdom Collapse. So Jonathan, welcome back, my friend.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Dude, I am doing fantastic, over the moon, and super glad to have you back on once again, and for just one of the best episodes ever, because, again, 500, but at the same time, who better to have on than you right now, because this is just perfect.
Exactly. No, that's awesome, dude. 500. So, what, 5 years ago? So, 100 a year. That's 2 a week.
Yeah.
You know, week in, week out. Wow.
Week in, week out doing this stuff, just similar like what you're doing. Week in, week out, touring, writing new music, trying to do whatever you can to make sure the band keeps growing, Kingdom Collapse keeps growing, and it just keeps going on and on and on. Because every year, like I said, every year you guys just keep growing. It just keeps getting better and better. You guys are going on bigger and better tours. You guys are attracting many more fans, and you're still connecting with fans all over the place. It's incredible to continue to watch.
Dude, yeah, we've been really fortunate just to be able to keep doing what we're doing, you know, like outside of the label thing. We've been able to, you know, have continuous singles, you know, hit radio, hit Octane, get good tours, festivals. Like, we're kind of in that world, but kind of outside it at the same time. Like, I don't know, but it's cool to just be doing that stuff, and like largely due to our fans, the KC Army. You know what I mean? And like, you know, we're right there alongside them, kind of like going to battle. So it's a cool dynamic, you know?
And you guys have been doing that the whole entire time, because ever since I remember watching you guys and really getting into it, you guys are always appearing on Octane, always had a great relationship with Jose Mangan. He was always plugging your stuff. But at the same time, you guys were always just so forceful on being independent. The pride that it was that you were an independent band, continuing to make these strides outside of having record label backing. But on top of that as well, continue to connect with the fans in such a personal way, where as you guys were growing, as you guys had that one foot in the whole entire, you know, we're starting to grow, we're starting to get a lot of the recognition, you had that other foot in the back end where you're still continuing to connect with fans every single day, and doing it in a genuine manner, not just saying thank you. Like, you're responding to comments, you're making these posts, and they're always connected with people, and they're always on topic. You're always giving people the time of day.
Right, exactly. I mean, and like, we care about it, and it's just like from the songs we write about and everything like that. I mean, it's about real life. So it's like, we're not that type of band that just sits back and we're like, oh, well, we're just going to be backstage the whole time, and we'll be in there hanging with everybody. We'd love to hear everyone's stories. Like, you know, people come up with an Unbreakable tattoo, and then like, we have some real good friends of the band since we've gotten to know them. And this was obviously before we knew them. They came to a show. We were in Minnesota with Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. And basically, this was when we still had our van, and I was back there like getting ready for the show and
Mhm.
everything. And David comes back there and he's like, "Hey man, there's a family here that wants to talk to you. They're at the merch table." So I go in the venue, go to the merch table, and they turn around, and all of them, I'm talking like 3 or 4 people, hold up their arms, and they all have Unbreakable tattooed on them, permanent tattoos. And they basically end up telling us, "Hey, we want to let you know how much Unbreakable means to our family. It's more than just another song, you know what I mean? It really became kind of a song we rally behind, like kind of like our motto, getting through some tough stuff." And you know, they're like, "Hey, our, you know, long story short, our son almost died, and he ended up, and this was during when we discovered Unbreakable, he ended up surviving, and here he is." You know what I mean? And he was right there, and I looked at him. I remember that moment, and it was crazy to just hear, you know, people's story, just because this song, like, I was just writing about kind of my own life with Unbreakable, like all the crazy stuff life throws at you, right? And you end up kind of just, it turns you into who you become. Um, but there's certain things where you know, hey, you'll make it through this, you'll make it through that as you go through these things more and more. Um, or hey, I won't fall for that again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like all this kind of stuff. And it's cool to see that kind of motivated other people, gave those same people encouragement in their life, and they connect with it in the same way that I wrote the song about, in the same spirit of it. So yeah, I mean, that's it, dude. Is that the connection is everything.
The connection is absolutely everything. And every band I've talked to that has continued to grow and has grown, I would say, over the past 5 years in a similar capacity to what you guys have done, where always take a look at where they started to where they are now. It's that connection that always is a common point. I think about bands like Caskets. I think about bands like Avoid. Think about bands like Patient 67. All the time I'm seeing them connect with people online in the most genuine way possible, or even in person, whether it's the most genuine way possible. And it depends on your personality, whether it's connecting with them fully, or like with the guys from Avoid, using them specifically, their crazy antics and just their fun personality. But it's those bands that have that connecting point that are able to just make people feel something that is much more deeply inside of them and bring that out and create that rallying point at times where, like with the Unbreakable tattoos, that would never have happened if the family had not heard the song and really taken stock in it and use it as their anthem going forward. The amount of songs that we have personally in our own lives that we use as anthems to consistently go forward when times are tough, when things aren't going well, just to pick us up and get us through the day and know that there are better things ahead. Those are the bands that we remember forever, and those are the bands that mean the most to us, where people get tattoos of bands logos on their arms or legs or body all the time. But when you see the
Right.
same ones that you have with a song name and it means so much more and it adds onto a completely different meaning for a family or for a group of people, that's when you know that you really have something special, not only to say, but special to connect with people and continue to, even inspire them to do better in their own lives. It's an incredible thing.
Exactly, dude. It's really cool to see that. And it really does have that effect, you know what I mean? And that kind of become, I mean, it's always been what we, base our music off of, is real life, That's it.
And
There's no crazy gimmicks, no concepts. It's just stuff that means something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you wouldn't want to have it be anything else,
Right. Right, exactly.
Why create something fake? Because I remember I literally just, like the day we were recording this, I released my episode with Echo, the rap artist who was on the From Ashes to New tour last year and going on. It was all about substance, all about that genuineness that connects with people. And it's all about coming from a real life experiences, because that's what that's where you're really coming from, and not pulling any punches on that. And you guys, I mean, have never pulled any punches going forward. Like Unbreakable, Save Me From Myself is still my favorite song from you guys. I still listen to that consistently because of the way you guys create it and how powerfully it hits. It takes so much more raw emotion and really lets people sink in themselves and understand so much more going forward. But then again, a lot of your songs do, almost every single one of them. You guys play Unbreakable every time you guys are up there on stage live, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
the anthem that drives so many people forward to just connect with you guys. It's, again, that just, it's a beautiful thing. I don't know how other way to describe it. It's such a beautiful thing.
Yep. Dude, and it's coming up on 10 million streams on Spotify now.
10
That
million?
song alone. 10 million. It's coming up. It's at like 9.6, 9.7 right now.
Well,
It's
now
crazy, man.
I'm hoping by the time this episode releases and you guys are on tour with Saul, it does get to 10 million. Maybe a little bit of coaxing of the KC Army online is going to get to that point.
Speaking of that, we're actually about to do something. Actually, we're going to roll it out around when the podcast drops, when this airs. We're going to be doing a thing to where we want people to create, like, we're going to do this kind of, it's going to start kind of on TikTok, but we're going to have our fans, we're going to like ask our fans, hey, tell us your Unbreakable story with hashtag MyUnbreakableStory. We want to hear your story, share it in the army, share it on Facebook, Instagram, and hear everyone's story as kind of a celebration as we get closer to 10 million. We're going to be doing that next month. So it's going to be a cool thing to hear everybody's story, and like, because I hear it every single night that we're on tour. I go to a new, we're in a new town, new city, and I hear it every single tour date. Someone's story. So I know they're out there, and there's a lot of stories where I know people want to share. So we're going to do that.
I think it's an incredible thing too, because as people share them online, it's going to create more of that sense of community, not only with you guys and your band as a whole, but within the KC Army that's already there, and new people that want to join in as well, because they're going to see that it's a place where people are so heavily connected, not only with the band, but they're freely able to express, certain things about themselves and not feel like they're going to be judged or ridiculed for it. They're going to feel like it's a place where they can express this stuff, know people that have gone through similar things, and be able to connect with them on that and potentially create lifelong friendships off that. Go to shows and see them, other fans from the KC Army out there, talk with them and just get to know them. And then every time you guys come rolling into town, now it's like a family reunion at that point.
Yes, exactly. And so much of that stuff has already happened organically. And I know, like, if we actually make an effort voluntarily, hey, share your story. We, like, the time has come, everybody, I want to hear this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to be doing that. And just hearing, like, whether it's someone surviving like cancer, or like, like family stuff, job stuff, financial stuff, other health stuff, like people, even like dramatic, like I've heard like crazy like weight loss stories. Oh, I lost like 150 pounds, like, and like this thing, like, dude, people that lose 150 pounds, those are some tough people, man. Like that's crazy, dude. You know what I mean? Just like the amount of like, okay, no matter if I feel like it or not, I'm doing this, and drug addiction, alcohol, like, yeah, I don't know, just all kinds of stuff. Everyone's dealt with a lot of life throws bullshit at everybody, right? So we all have those stories.
Oh, absolutely, we all do. And when you guys start rolling out that whole entire thing with My Unbreakable Story, I'm going to promote it on the podcast, all over our pages. And I'm going to include, specific story for myself in there as well to connect with people. And I already know exactly where it's going to come from, because I know you. I started to get to know you because of this podcast, because I've interviewed the most out of anybody else. And I'm going to go back to the time last year where I looked at all the financials and I came this close to quitting, because it was just super. It was just, it didn't make any sense anymore. But then it was looking back at it. I can't stop doing this. This is what drives me forward on a lot of days where things just don't go well. So,
dude, I hear that, the financial thing, and that realistically, I mean, that the financial thing would be there if you were doing the podcast or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you might as well do what you love. And that's the thing with us, is like, we don't have the support financially of, tour support when we need it from a label. Okay, our bus gets hit when we're north of Washington or north of Seattle, which happened on the Fame on Fire tour. Bus gets hit. We're asleep. We're in a truck parking zone, asleep in our bunks. And all of a sudden, we hear boom, and the bus goes like this, And come to find out, we would go outside, and there was this lady high out of her mind driving a Suburban and drove straight into our trailer. Suburban went up, hit our bus, came down. Her front bumper was there. The mirror was there. And basically David goes up and he's like, hey, you need to wait till the police get here. And she's like, I just want to go home. And drives off. Hit and run. But we got her license plate. But yeah, so of course, with all that, like some of it was covered by the insurance, but it ended up causing a lot of things after because our engine's in the back where we got hit. There was nothing, so to speak, that we initially saw that was wrong. But then a week later, certain things started happening. And then, of course, insurance doesn't cover that. We do. The trailer was totaled. We had to get a U-Haul for the rest of the tour. Insurance didn't cover that. And then by the time we got home, we had to outright buy a new trailer, which was $9,000 on top of the repairs, on top of the U-Haul. And it's like the financial thing, what you were saying is, dude, yeah. I mean, like, if we based it off of finances, we wouldn't be doing this shit. But it's the love for doing what we do, right? So, and that's what life's about. Money comes and goes. But, if there's no point to any of it, what good is the money?
I think it's the best way you could have put it is if there's no point to it, what is it for the money? Because I even thought about myself when I came that close to quitting, and what really drove me behind it was, okay, let me quit if I do that, but let's go back 5 years and let's say I never start this. And now I have, all the money that I spent, that would be nice. But then I thought about, what would I have missed out on and where would my life be at that point? Of course, it could go in any other direction, but I thought about all the, connections and the relationships I made while doing this, all the people I've gotten to know, all the great bands I've gotten to know, all the great times I've had at concerts, all the great people I've been able just to talk to. And just the fact that every moment I get to do this, there's a certain energy that comes up that I don't really have anywhere else. So why would I quit on that and quit on that passion just because, I don't have all the money I want right now?
Yeah. Yeah. And that comes, you know what I mean? But the biggest thing is you're doing what you love. You're being persistent. You're being smart about it. It's like you're good at it. It's fun. It's a win-win. So yeah, that's the name of the game, man.
I was going to say it's the same thing for you guys too. It's, again, the financials are not going to all be perfect. We know how hard it is for touring bands right now where, not everyone's making money out there. There's a lot of people that are struggling with it. However, we know you guys are doing it because of how much you love it, how much it just drives that passion, drives the energy for you in life. And if you guys weren't there, you might be doing something else, but it wouldn't be as good or as fun as it is right now. You wouldn't have that feeling alive at that point in time. On top of that, imagine all the people that you have inspired and touched and just really had that connection with over the course of your time with Kingdom Collapse. Over the course of the band's history, if you guys weren't doing it, you wouldn't have people coming up to you with Unbreakable tattooed on their arms and feeling that power that you guys are able to help provide them in a symbolic way to just motivate them to continue to go forward and motivate them to continue to find that passion in life and not let all the crap bring them down, because life's always going to try and bring us down. We just can't let it happen.
Yep. That's crazy you said that, because one of the new songs had some of what you said in the lyrics. So, yeah.
What?
Yep. Yeah, dude.
So we got more new music coming?
Mm-hmm.
I know you mentioned it before we started recording, but now I'm even more excited. But more new music? Oh my god!
Always.
So
that's the thing is we've gone back and forth on albums or whatever, but no matter what form or fashion we package it up, new music's always coming from Kingdom Collapse. So
Yeah, because I know you guys are putting out a collection like on a vinyl of the singles that you guys have released over the past couple of years, all independently. And I think that's a great idea as well, because essentially it's kind of like, in a certain way, for everyone that wanted that first album, it's like, here it kind of is. It just was it was just a different format. But now there's more new music coming down the pipeline. Dude, we got to talk about this new music. Of course, not in specifics because it's not out yet, but we got to tease it a little bit. So what can you tell me about what's coming up?
Yeah, so we have a song dropping here in the next month, and that one is kind of the appetizer track. You know what I mean? Get the blood flowing, get everything kind of rolling into our tours, and that'll lead into another one that we're really stoked on. That'll be closer to like the Saint Asonia tour dates, and then from there we go into the Incarceration Festival Rock Fest main stage. So it's gonna be sick, man. Lots of good stuff as far as our material. Like, I've just been locked away working on this stuff, through the holidays, through the last couple months, day in, day out. I'll probably write like 5 choruses a day, 5 songs a day, and then it's like, well, I look at what I got, like 15 ideas here. Which is the best one of these? You know what I mean? And not just because I wrote an idea doesn't mean we're going to release it. It's like our standard has always been it's like panning for gold, right? Lot of mud. It's like, that's good. There might be something shiny there. Keep panning. Oh, here we go. Found some gold. And then now it's like, okay, let's build around that. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of my process for writing. It's never just been like, oh, I wrote a song, I'm going to put it out. I have a ton of ideas that are like maybe B-side shelved ideas that you never know, where you're writing a new song and that one idea I had over there works perfect for this. You know what I mean? So it's not a lost cause for some of those ideas. It just means some of those ideas just haven't found their place yet. You know what I mean? So,
it makes a lot of sense too, especially coming from your standpoint, when you guys were fully, like, always independent, always just going off on that side of things, you never wanted to put out just like a whole album just due to the fact that, if you put out a whole album and you had like maybe 1 or 2 of those, panning for gold, shiny pieces, tracks, but then the rest of it is just little bits of clumps of dirt just because you needed something to fill it. Now, would that have actually been worth it? Because just those ideas just were not able to hit at that given time with the sound you were thinking of. So just, again, it's being smart with it. And on top of the way that people are consuming music today, the way it is on streaming, the way it is on Spotify, singles are dominating everything. So it helps keep the band connected and keep the band growing within that side of it, outside of what you guys were already doing on social media and connecting with everybody in that capacity. It helps out with that. But it makes sense. You want to put out the best thing possible, and you want to make sure that it's something that not only hits, but you believe in fully. If it's somewhere, maybe this will work, maybe this won't work, I'm not sure. There's plenty of time. Shelf that idea. Maybe in a year or two, something's going to come up where you're thinking, shit, that idea might work. And then all of a sudden, you get like the biggest song that King Collapse has at that given point in time, because there's always going to be a future point in time where something else bigger could happen. I never want to say, let's give you your biggest song. No. Your biggest song so far.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, is because even when I was writing Unbreakable, I never knew it was going to do what it ended up doing and is still doing. It was just another song that we're like, hell yeah, that's the single right now. You know what I mean? Like, we were stoked as shit on the song, but at the same time, how could we have predicted all the shit it did? I mean, it's crazy, man. So I kind of just keep that in mind when I'm writing this stuff. It's like, you never know. Like, these songs where you just give it that extra love, you give it that extra, put that extra 10% of your soul in there, like on top, 110% into every song. That really connects with people. And so, like, with this stuff, it's a lot of times with creativity. Yeah. When you're forced, like, say if you're on a label, okay, well, we need 10 tracks for this album. Well, sometimes the best creativity, the best art, the best material, the best songs don't come out when, at a certain, by a certain deadline or whatever, it's like you gotta see that song through. You know what I mean? You gotta, like, when that inspiration comes, it's so unpredictable. And that's the thing, you gotta kind of chase it. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of gotta, you have to be in the right headspace at the time. You know what I mean? There's a lot of variables there for things to fully click and follow through.
Oh, I totally understandable, because I remember I was either watching something or reading something from Falling in Reverse with Ronnie Radke, because over the past 5 years they've released only 4 songs, and like that's not a lot. But seeing how each song has completely just transformed and on this brand new trajectory every step of the way, it was something I read where it's like, if he's not like absolutely fully 100% like this is the best I can possibly do with this idea and on this song, it's not going to get released. But it's
Right.
that same standpoint where you just want to make sure that not only is it something that you're putting all your effort into, that extra 10%, but when you listen to it yourself back and you're really looking at it, you fully believe in the work that you've created, and you have no doubts that this is the absolute best that you could possibly do at this given point in time. This is the best song you could possibly make with this idea at this moment, and you're super proud of it, and this is the one that's going to get released. You're not going to
Exactly.
just let pressure get to you guys where it's, we have to have this out now, we have to have this out now, and maybe get one hit out of, maybe 10 or 11 songs. And then
Yeah.
you have 10 or 11 that just kind of
That's a
sit in the
waste.
middle.
Huge waste of time, energy, money, just for the sake of what? Especially nowadays, like, for the sake of what? I mean, the single is the only one that's going to do anything. And then if you're you have a shitty record deal, I mean, when they got bigger bands that are the priority or whatever, and it's like they're not going to spend more than one, maybe two single, like they're only going to have an X amount of budget to even push maybe 1-2 songs from those 10. And it's sad to see. I've seen it with a lot of bands that we're friends with. And it's not that we're opposed to a label, but it's just we've never had anything be presented that was better than what we were already doing. The things that we wanted, they're like, oh yeah, we can do that. Well, it's like, yeah, but we're already doing it. What can you do on top of that? And that's why we've stayed independent so long. You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
Oh, because I was even just thinking about this while you were talking about this, where think about all the bands that have come out with albums. I'm going to say past 3 years.
Right.
From 2021, 2022, 2023, and we'll even throw in what's going on in 2024 right now. Every band that's released stuff that has a full album, it's, again, always the singles that get pushed because of the way that streaming is, because of how people are consuming music, to where those songs that are deeper cuts do not get the time of day unless you have one magical moment where something happens and a song takes off in different capacity. The only one I can think of that happening to is Bad Omens with Just Pretend, because that was not a single off of Death of Peace of Mind. That's the only one in 3 years. That is insane. Yeah. So what you guys are thinking about and doing what you're doing, holy shit, does that make a lot of sense?
Yeah. Well, and it's really, to be honest, like, it's even more so like that these days. But even back, so you say like 50s, 60s, these people sold their records from that song they heard on the radio, from the single.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been that way. The music industry's always been that way. It's all sold off of the single. And of course, from then, the fans buy the album and they end up connecting with a lot of the others. But those aren't the songs that really end up necessarily doing a lot for the artist. You know what I mean? It's always been the singles. So
yeah, and given where, if we go back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even going into the 2000s, I'll say before streaming became a thing, when people had to buy the album, you're actually making a physical investment in that with your money. So right. You're going to listen through the whole entire thing and get the most out of it. So those deeper cuts did have much more potential. Now with streaming, you're going to sell it off of the singles. But those deep cuts, if people aren't going to get into them as quickly as they did the singles, they're just going to go back to what they thought, what they liked, and what they know, because it's so simple to do that.
Right. Yeah, it's like there's no worth to those songs. There's no pressure to listen to them. So you don't have to buy them. It's just worthless. Not to say like we won't do something where we throw some extra stuff out, with the single or whatever, if it makes sense. We've tossed around a lot of ideas of doing like an acoustic version of several of our kind of, our top 5 songs, Unbreakable, Save Me, some songs like that would translate really well to an acoustic version. That's cool. But yeah, I mean, as far as when we're in that up and coming stage, like as a band right now, we have to attack the singles have to perform. You know what I mean? The singles have to do their job for any of this to happen. You're not getting we're not getting, an offer for this festival because of an album song. We're not getting this tour because of some album song. We did a whole album. We're getting the only way a band gets that exposure, gets new fans, gets, that grows the band and becomes more active is from those singles. So it's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. It's a nature of the beast too, because I would love to see you guys continue to absolutely grow with, putting out a whole album and having that get to go, or people connecting with it, and so they could just go out to see you guys perform live, and everyone gets to see the power that you guys put out in a live setting and continue to build on that and do it every time you guys come through. So then even continuing on, those festivals know, hey, Kingdom Collapse is going to bring a good crowd. They're going to put on a good show. They're not going to let you down. So then you guys are going to get booked for all those different festivals to the point where we're going to come out, see you guys play live, go out to those festivals, see you guys on the bill, and we're going to put a big old circle on that because we're not going to miss Kingdom Collapse when they're going to be playing. I mean, you're going to look at the set times and be like, oh, this other band's playing the same time as Kingdom Collapse. Well, darn for them, because I'm going to see Jonathan Norris and the boys.
Wait. Hell yeah, dude. It's awesome, too. Like, a lot of these support slots, so, say festival, like 25, 30 minutes is your set. Support slots, so like with Saint Asonia, 30 minutes. It's crazy now. It's like having to pick your favorite kids, so to speak, as far as the songs you play. Now we've had 7 Octane singles, excluding Suffer and some of those other ones that did well on YouTube and before any of Octane. So, and we're having to actually cut out Octane singles from our set now because you can only so you have 30 minutes, so you can play 7 songs. So what is that? It's like, okay, well, we're going to keep Suffer in there. Unbreakable, Save Me From Myself. And then then it becomes, as it gets lower in there, it's like, well, there's a time constraint. We have to cut one of these. Which one do we cut? You know what I mean? And that I don't necessarily like that, but it's a good problem to have now. For a while, when the band first started, a lot of our set was, the album songs off of the EP and more filler stuff. Now it's just like, dude, we got to cram as many of these bangers in here as we can, just because, it's like we'll just cram it. No, I mean, like, I'll still talk. I love like talking shit, fucking around with that. But at the same time, just keeping it flowing. Next song. Let's cram as much in there as we can for our fans, and get this party going. Get the sing along going. Let's fucking go.
Oh, get the sing along going, get the party going. I know you guys are able to do that every step of the way, but it's going to be interesting just for first couple of things. One, that problem that you have now, that's a problem that bands and artists want to have, because now you know that you have songs that people want to hear that are doing well. And with the time constraint that you have, it's like, well, I can only pick a couple of these, but it's because they're doing so well. I have to discriminate on that aspect to make sure we get the right songs out there. And like you said, you're going to have those ones that are necessary to have on there, like Suffer, like Unbreakable, like Save Me From Myself. And then as you guys go on tour with Saul, again, you have the new song come out that's going to be the appetizer to the second one that's come out with the Saint Asonia tour. Now you have those two in there as well. If you only have 7 songs, now you've got 2 more to play with. And what happens? Maybe, you know, Uprises gets removed from that. Maybe Payback gets removed from that. You put in some other things as well. It's going to be something where we're not going to see every single song we want from you guys. But again, that's what we in the end wanted to see, because that means the band is growing. The band is continuing to have hit after hit after hit. And it's going to mean bigger tours, bigger shows, more exposure, and a band that we have been in love with since the beginning is going to be one of those bands that we look back on and say, man, they did it. And we're going to be happy to be there for the whole entire ride.
Hell yeah, man. It's fun. It's fun just going out there and seeing everybody singing with a lot of these songs, you know, obviously Unbreakable, but you know, we go out there. For the longest time, we had Uprise. That was the intro song that we would come out to, and just from the get go, as soon as that song starts playing, everyone's there, like, you know, front row right there, they're singing every fucking word with me. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you know what's up, you know what's up, you know what's up. Let's fucking party. You know what I mean? Like it's such a cool feeling. It's like we're all in it together. You know what I mean? We're all just having fun. And it's like a big fucking, like, I don't know, like heavy karaoke, dude. You know, it's so fun.
Oh, God, it is fun. I still remember when you guys played in 2022 and you were on tour with From Ashes to New, and you guys opened every night with that track. I remember seeing you guys 2 nights in a row. You guys open with it, and everyone was into it every step of the way. And I hope you guys play Uprise on the St. Asonia run, specifically because I remember when it first came out and I first listened to it, I remember messaging you and saying, this reminds me of 3 Days Grace, Adam Gontier era.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. And it's crazy, like, the St. Asonia tour coming up, I feel is the best fit tour we've had yet. Just because, like, our sound, you know, it's like we love 3 Days Grace. We love all that era of rock bands, like, and we're kind of like the newer, younger version of that. You know, in the 2024 sense, like, you know, a lot of bands right now, it's kind of like the super clean, super like very poppy R&B, blah blah blah. But like we're like the new band of that, of like those rock bands. You know what I mean? That's kind of our thing, and we want to carry that torch. You know, obviously a fresh take on it, whatever. But that's the kind of music we love. That's the kind of music we want to play, and that's what we'll always do. You know, of course, we'll do some things that maybe you didn't expect here and there, but the core, the bread and butter of what Kingdom Collapse is or the meat and potatoes or whatever. You know, it's like it's gonna be that sound. You know what I mean?
And not even with the St. Asonia tour being like the perfect place for you guys, going on tour with Saul as well, with another band that fits that same bill that you guys do, with that connection back to that older rock sound from the 2000s that we all loved, but with a new fresh take on it, a new young take on it. It makes sense for you guys to go out with them as well for like a month-long run and just really hit as many people as possible with just some great music.
Yeah, dude, and they're really good friends. Like throughout all this, we kind of came up at the same time. We're really good friends with them. So this tour has been a long time coming. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's way overdue. Because when we started both going to radio and doing all that stuff, then COVID hit, so we couldn't do anything. And then like the show you actually saw us at, completely old lineup, you know, before COVID, that was our second to last show we played before everything shut down for a year and a half. So yeah, dude, it was insane. But I mean, like, I think the run with Saul would have happened years ago had COVID not happened. But it is what it is, and we're finally going out there and playing some shows together, so it'll be fun.
Oh, it'll be
a lot of mutual fans, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we were coming up at the same time. It was like us, Saul, Any Given Sin, some of those bands, like, you know what I mean? So
I was just about to say, I'm pretty sure Any Given Sin has to be in there because Any Given Sin just got done with their run with Saint Asonia too.
Dude, that's what I'm saying, man. It's cool to see that Saint Asonia is kind of bringing up some younger bands within that sound, within that realm, of rock, and not just like there's so many bands I see, in the shoes of maybe Saint Asonia, like that don't do that. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of bands where it's like they just want to stay relevant, so they take some super trendy thing, that's hot at the moment or whatever, just to make themselves not feel as old or whatever. But it's like the fact that Saint Asonia is like, I want to bring out these other bands that fit, that actually fit, and that are carrying the torch of the next generation. I think that's cool.
It's incredibly cool as well. Just due to the fact that with Saint Asonia, people are going to go out and see them because everyone knows Adam Gonti, everyone knows the older 3 Days Grace stuff, and now it's like when it comes to Saint Asonia stuff, everyone's getting to know that too. So those people are going to come and pack those houses, whether it's people that just like the sound, or you get people like myself where even if the sound isn't as like what we're fully in tune to at the moment, we all remember listening to those songs when we were kids. So, younger people are coming out. When I went to go see them back in February, we had like maybe a group of like 20 or 30 people. And of course, I'm the oldest one there. It's like 29, but like the youngest one that was in the group was 18. So so there's continually a fresh, whole new demographic of fans that are coming out to these shows as well for Saint Asonia, for new bands to go and check out, to get exposed to. And you guys have the perfect opportunity to take and, really maximize out on that.
It's awesome, dude. I mean, like, and just being able to tour with them and watch them every night. You know what I mean? Adam, like, dude, I love their music. I love his songwriting. I love his sound. I just love that type of rock. You know what I mean? So it's going to be fun. It was definitely like a mix of a really good fit, but also some bucket list, element there too, to where it's just like, let's go. Because about a year and a half ago, I remember when Break Free came out, he was on Instagram and someone was like, hey, you should tour with Kingdom Collapse. And he stopped right in the middle of the feed. I don't know if I think he was like playing a guitar or something. He stopped and he was like, someone mentioned Kingdom Collapse. And he goes, it's funny you said that because I was just listening to them the other day. I love their music. That's a great band. Love their songs. And so that might just happen. And then he goes back to whatever he's doing. And here we are. It's like a year and a half later. You never know when that seed is planted, when it actually comes to fruition. But it did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
cool. So you never know when that seed is planted too, because one other thing that I'm hoping to in the future going forward, at least some point, maybe not this year, but maybe next year, maybe in 2025, we get to see you guys doing another like rerun with From Ashes to New, because I know those guys still love Kingdom Collapse. I got talked to Maddie last year before the release of Blackout, and at the end of the episode, after we went off the air, I talked to him about it, and he's like, "Oh, dude, man, I love Kingdom Collapse. We got to go out with them again."
Yeah, he said that. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, that's cool. So we played with them later on after that tour. We played a one-off with them in Austin, and that was fun. It was good seeing them. But yeah, we would love to do that. That would be a really fun tour.
And just seeing how they're growing continuously too, especially from the fact that, when I saw them with you guys, they were playing in front of like maybe 200 at the most, 250 people. When I saw them the last time, when I'm going to be seeing them in May, they're going to be playing in front of over 1,000 headlining.
Oh, dude, I know. It's like tenfold of what it was in the span of what, 2 years here.
Yeah.
Like they really just, took it to the next level, and good for them. I mean, it's really hard to do, and they're doing it, man.
It's really hard to do. I'm glad that a lot of these new bands that especially for the past 5 years that I've been following, including Kingdom Collapse, have been continuing to grow. And I would love to be able to see you on that Saint Asonia run, because I would love to see you guys in congruency with an Adam Gontier band. Unfortunately, guys aren't coming anywhere around me. But
Yeah.
it's that Saul tour, though, and I'm like, we're doing this again.
Let's go. Let's go, dude.
Oh, it's
gonna be fun, man. We're stoked to just get back out there. It's been a lot of that, a lot of the grinding it out behind the scenes with some of our music and getting that, there's a lot of work we're just doing behind the scenes before we hit the road and fully begin the year. You know what I mean? We just had a headlining show in San Antonio, sold out a place in San Antonio. That's cool to see now. It's crazy. So, back in August, we had a show, we had a headliner for the first time in about a year and a half. Since we did so much touring in 2022 and 2023, we came home and did a headliner there, packed 350 people in San Antonio. Joe Alfaro flew in, and he was dead center, right in the front the whole time. Even in the picture on the Kingdom Collapse Army, we had like the crowd behind us picture. We're all like this, and here's Joe right behind us, right there with us. And that was on a Friday, Saturday night. He flies back Sunday, and that Tuesday is when we figured out that he had passed away. But yeah, dude, it was crazy because I was recording, and then I ended up getting a call from his son. I was like, this is weird. I never talked to his son. And like that feeling, like my stomach kind of dropped, and I'm like, uh-oh. And so I call him, say, hey man, my dad's gone, you know what I mean? And that feeling, that's, I don't know, he was like a member of Kingdom Collapse, and but he got to see our first sold out show ever. And I look back and like there's nothing that we could have done, nothing I would have done any different, you know what I mean, to like kind of end things on such a great note, you know what I mean. But it was the daily like we get on FaceTime, we plan what's the next thing that we're gonna attack, you know what I mean. Joe was right there with us, almost like a manager, you know what I mean, just part of the band, just kind of like that, like the board of Kingdom Collapse, go to the board meeting and like let's let's cook some shit up, like the go to the I don't know, like just like that, like those World War II movies where you have like the meeting before like the pilots go on a mission and everything. Like, here's your target, I mean, like that was Joe right here. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. Crazy stuff, dude.
Yeah, I remember when that happened too, because when I saw that, it was a shock to me as well, because Joe had helped out with the podcast too, because he was always connecting me. He always told me, anytime you get a band on that fits like the Octane fan group, please, for the love of God, post it. Just keep supporting all these young bands. He's the one that kept throwing bands at me. He's like, hey, I got this other band, you want to go check them out? And then all of a sudden he would start sending me, like, ask me if I knew them. I'm like, Joe, I already know these guys. Like, I've interviewed them before, but like, yeah, keep it coming, man.
Yeah, dude. He is one of a kind. You know what I mean? Those kind of people don't grow on trees.
No, they don't. And it was something where, I mean, I still remember the episode that I did. I think it was right after I found out I had an episode, I think that day. And I always do a final thought at the end of the episode. And that one, I'm like, I can't even talk about the final thought for this episode. Like, all I was thinking about was Joe Alfaro and just how much not only he meant to to help the podcast out, but how much he meant to you guys and how much he meant to so many growing bands going forward and how much he positively impacted them. And
it was genuine too,
Yeah, and I was gonna say, it's like when people say, support like new music, support local bands, support like what's up and coming. He said it, but no one lived it like he did. He lived it with every fiber of his being, and it's something that honestly we should all aspire to be.
Yeah, exactly, dude. He definitely made a mark on everyone in the Octane world, in the rock world, especially up and coming bands and everyone involved. Uh, one of those people, like, and started up Riff Media, with Matt and Lisa over there. And now that's continued on. They're carrying the torch. But Joe started that, and it's just crazy, man. It's one of those things. Even like I look back, like with the Saint Asonia thing, we're like, man, like when we got the news, I so badly just wanted to go, hey Joe, we got the Saint Asonia tour. You know what I mean? Like all these, whether it's a funny thing to share or like exciting news or whatever, it was always, dude, I gotta go tell Joe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, dude.
Yeah, but in a weird way too, it seems perfect where your first sold out show was the last one that he got to see, but it is forever immortalized in a picture because you guys are up there taking a picture show like this and he's in the middle of it. Like he's visibly present in it.
He's right there with us. And I remember, like, because I mean, it was all of our friends, family, fans, everybody, locally at that show. And I remember he rode to and from, he was staying at my house that weekend, because he flew in from Boston. And we ride to the show on the bus, on the way back on the bus. And I remember him coming back there to the back of the bus and telling me, hey, dude, he's like, dude, tonight was amazing. He's like, y'all are, he's like, dude, like, it was something to the effect of like, this is only the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, I think, like, because we had all been drinking, like he was, I think he was like, he couldn't find the right words to say it, but he was like, dude, this is only the beginning too. You know what I mean? And even later that Tuesday, on the same day that he passed, that morning, woke up to a group message. It had everyone in the band and him, and he had called it "My Boys." That was the name of the group message, and he basically said, incredibly proud of each and every one of you, and I love y'all. The best is yet to come, and that was the last thing from Joe.
His spirit is continuing on with the band, right?
Oh yeah.
That's something that's never going to leave you guys.
And I was just talking with Aaron like 2 days ago about it. It's like, it's like, he's here, but he's not. And it's one of those things where he'll always be a part of Kingdom Collapse regardless,
Oh, always will be. And to wrap up this episode, I got one more quest for you, Jonathan, but it is in the exact same style and vein of what Joe Alfaro would have done in this situation. So, Jonathan, can you give me 3 artists that you would love to get more recognition on? Looking for 3 recommendations so everyone can get into more new music, just like Joe would have wanted.
3 up and coming bands that deserve more recognition?
Yes, absolutely.
So there's a band that is really solid out of Mississippi. I'm pretty sure I'm actually working with them on their new stuff. I'm producing their next single and several tracks. But the band's Envision.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought you were going with.
Dude. They really passionate. They put everything into their songs, into their show, into the songwriting. They mean what they say. They kill it live. They're definitely a band you want to see live too. You know what I mean? And like they have songs that are really deep that also talk about real life, like ours are. And Alex is great. I got to meet they all came in, they were recording, incredible guitarists, like just right on it, with all their playing and like just awesome. So Envision, that's one. Second one, let's see. God, you stumped me with. As soon as I got to think of these, like how to answer these questions, my mind blanks. Give me 1 second here.
So don't
I
worry.
want to answer this
don't worry, man.
correctly.
You are not the first one that is blanked on that question.
So let's see. There's another band. Ooh, there's another band. Okay. So, they are super young, super young. I'm working with them. They're from San Antonio. But they're kind of in the pop punk leaning kind of rock. But they're super young. I'm talking like right out of high school. Incredibly passionate, really good songwriters. I just saw them play their first show actually. And they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? They're going to end up doing a lot. There's a ton of untapped potential there that I'm trying to bring out of them with some of these songs. And so basically the band, so it's Ashton Holloway, and they go by Reckless Degenerate.
Okay.
And so they're like a pop punk leaning band, but they're going more. They actually have a new song they showed me that we're gonna be working on together. That almost kind of has like a little bit of a Breaking Benjamin, like a normal hard rock, active rock kind of sound too. So it's not just pop punk. Like it's anywhere. It's from like emo, pop punk stuff into normal rock as well. And super new band. So Reckless Degenerate. And then third, to answer that question, let's see.
I mean, you got me two good ones. I want to see
Yes.
that third one come through just
Yes.
shine as well.
Yes, those are definitely like, because like we see a lot of bands all the time. You know what I mean? Everywhere we go, we're playing with bands from that area, and a lot of stuff where it's like, okay, that was cool, but when there's something that really sticks with you, those two really do. Let me think about this, because there's a lot of bands out there that deserve the attention. Um, I'm going through. I'm like looking at the U.S. I'm like visualizing the states right now. Um, Dude,
it's like I gotta put the Jeopardy theme over this at some point.
It's like I'm thinking of bands that really are unknown, that truly deserve more than like they're just like people need to know about them. We're gonna get it.
We're gonna get it at some point, folks. But it's gonna be a good one.
Dude, honestly, and it's like they're blowing up. Dude, to answer this one, I know that you already know this. A lot of the listeners probably already know this band, but I truly feel like they're a band that deserves it and deserves more. They're starting to get that recognition. Is Sleep Theory.
Yes.
They deserve it, man. Like I just saw them on the Beartooth tour. They 100% followed through with any expectations. You never know when you go see a band, but from their songs, they're another band too, to where they're a new band coming up, but they're not too sucked into the ultra polished thing going on. They still have a true like hard rock sound with their own spin on it. But that band really gives me a lot of hope with a lot of the new bands coming up alongside us. Like with new rock, and on Octane, Sleep Theory is a band that I think is very deserving of that. So that would probably be my third answer. So undiscovered bands, Envision, Reckless Degenerate, and then I think Sleep Theory is getting everything they deserve.
Those are three great picks. And I know you said you saw Sleep Theory on the Beartooth tour. And I'm like, man, I haven't seen Sleep Theory yet. I'm literally seeing them 2 days after we record this episode on the Beartooth tour. Yeah. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Plus, I got to go up and find them at the merch table at some point, too, because I got to interview them right before the EP came out. So I'm like, got to go up and do my classic, hey, guys, how's it going?
Yep. Yeah, they're definitely deserving of all of that. There's a lot of bands that blow up, whether it's a TikTok or whatever, but dude, they deserve that. I'm stoked for them. I really like that song, Fallout.
Yeah,
dude. When I heard that song, I was like, dang, dude. And then someone had actually commented on the Octane fan club. They're like, is it just me, or is the song Fallout by Sleep Theory, does that seem like that could be a Kingdom Collapse song? And I was like, dude, it makes sense because I fucking love that song. It's just that sound, man. I love it.
So it's a good sound, and those are three great picks. And Jonathan, once again, I do want to thank you for being the guest on the 500th episode of the Chord Progression Podcast. There is no one I would have wanted for this more than you. So thank you once again. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Always fun.
And now it is time to end this podcast with three specific things. First things first, Kingdom Collapse are going to go on the road with Saul literally as of this episode's release. And then in May of 2024, they're going to be with Saint Asonia. Catch them at Rockfest, catch them in Incarceration. There's going to be new music coming out. And here's what you're going to want to do. Description of the podcast, where it says Find Kingdom Collapse online. Links and labels for everything on social media, including when you can join the KC Army on Facebook. The group link is going to be down there as well, where you can support them, go see them live, and of course, stream, buy, download, buy some merch. All their music is all going to be down there for you. So I'm doing all the heavy lifting. Come on, give us some help. Go support Kingdom Collapse. You know you want to. And now, Jonathan, remember one of the last times I saw you at that from Ashes New Tour back in 2022. Yeah. After the show, went out in the cold, and I hand-delivered a case of beer. Spotted Cow. Well, I get to see you guys play live with Saul on March 30th.
Dude, it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun hanging.
How about we run that back?
What?
Case of Spotted Cow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude, let's do it.
I now have my mission. Even funnier thing, the venue you guys are playing at, there is a bar across the street from that venue. My brother manages that bar.
Let's go. Let's go, dude.
Oh, we'll mess with him, and we'll just be like, hey, Scott, how's it going? He'll look at me like, Kevin, what the hell are you doing here again? I'll be like, I'm with my friends.
Hell yeah, dude. Let's do it. I'm always down.
But also a case of beer will still be in the mix because, well, it's a promise to you.
Dude, let's do it. We'll
do it,
man.
All right. So number 3 is I can end this by saying goodbye because, Jonathan, thank you for once again being a fantastic guest of the podcast. Thank you for being a fantastic friend. You will be back on the podcast again, and I'll get to see you on the Saul tour. So this is not goodbye, my friend. This is I'll see you later.
Boom. We'll see ya.
Woo! Well, folks, this is my interview with Jonathan Norris from Kingdom Collapse. Now it's time for Kevin's final thought. Now, 500. Can you believe it's been 500 episodes? I remember starting this thing back in February of 2019, just as like a supplemental thing to talk about music and just hope for the best. And then, started interviewing bands. I remember Ascending from Ash was our first one, but then thanks to Miss Kathy Miller, she said, hey, check out this other band from the San Antonio area, bring them on, interview them, just give it a shot. It's Jonathan Norris from Kingdom Collapse. Since then, the podcast has gone on a whirlwind. We went through a whole entire pandemic. We've had some big, incredible guests on, including, we've had From Ashes to New on twice. We had Seven Dust, Steel Panther, Silent Planet, Fame on Fire, Chunk No Captain Chunk. We recently had Echo on. And there's so many people I can look back at and just thank. And that's really what I do is right now take the time to thank a good number of people. First off, I want to thank Jonathan Norris because King Collapse has been the most recurring band on the podcast, second guest ever, and I truly want to thank him for his friendship. It means a lot, and just love having him as a guest. I also want to give a shout out to the Magdalene Rose, CJ and Lulu as well from GFM, because they had been on the podcast a number of times before GFM disbanded, and I want to thank those ladies as well. Couple of great memories seeing them play live, one during the pandemic and also throwing cupcakes at the crowd at Rockfest. Let's see who else. I need to shout this guy out, absolutely. Joey Arena from Outlier. Every time I've had him on, he has been just absolutely fantastic. Just one of the best people I've ever had a conversation with, and I love talking with him every time I get a chance to. Matt from Caskets and the boys from Caskets, thank you so much, guys, for being supporters of the podcast. Thank you for doing what you do, and I can't wait to see you guys play live on April 1st. It's going to be a blast. Also, thank you, Joey Varela from Varsity, another fantastic guest. Love talking with him. Thank you to Benny Scholl and the boys from Avoid. And I mean, I could go through and thank so many other guests too, but that's just, I mean, there's so many. I also want to thank Echo as well, because I mean, Echo has been fantastic from the get-go, from the past like couple of days, like with him on the podcast, putting all this stuff together. Who else do I want to thank? Shaylee from Dayshell, just when we had him on the podcast, just constantly connecting with him, just a fantastic human being. And I also want to thank all the supporters of the podcast as well. Give a shout out to a couple of people specifically. First off, Julian Purnell, the Heavy Metal Joker, has been a fantastic supporter of the podcast every step of the way. I really appreciate his friendship. I want to thank you so much for that, Julian. Who else? I want to thank my buddy Chris Reed, my buddy Sam Galliano as well. The Musics, the guys we always see at Louder Than Life. Thank you guys. Thank my friend Megan Morris or Megan Holmuth now, because she's married. Thank you for literally just you streaming the podcast every day when it comes out, supporting me and just enjoying the same music. You know, I know we always like going Scene Falling in Reverse Live, but thank you, Megan. I really appreciate your friendship. Also tell Timmy I said hi. God, I'm trying to think who else could everyone I get to mosh with in Milwaukee, you guys are fantastic people, and I know I'm going to miss a number of you, but off the top of my head, Shane, thank you. Maddie, Savannah, Braden, John, Carson, Noah, Steph, Jarek, Jake. Who else is there? And I know I'm missing a couple. Jeff, for sure. The guys from Chicago, too, those guys. Erica Leanne, thank you for being a friend. Thank you for supporting the podcast as well. I know Cyberlex, I think she's the Vogue Creatrix on Instagram now. She's been on the podcast twice. Every time I see her at a show, she always says hi. So thank you, Lexi. I really appreciate you being on the podcast. Thank you for your friendship as well. Trying to think if there's anybody else that just stands out in my mind. Colton, Marissa, Nate, you and Michelle. Just so many of you that I want to thank personally for just standing by the podcast, supporting for 500 episodes, coming in my life, and just everything. Just thank you. Also want to thank my family for, putting up with me during this standpoint and just knowing that this is what makes me happy. Also want to thank my best buddy, Alex, just for being my best buddy. Thank you, bud. And thank you to all of you. Truly. Just, I don't know if I'd be here without you guys, just having a blast. I know I'd still be around, but I wouldn't be having this much fun with life and enjoying it so much. Also, shout out to Anthony and Teague from Get More Listeners for all your help in 2023. You deserve a shout out as well, both of you guys. So thank you all. I really appreciate it. Go script to the podcast. Everything for King Collapse is down there. Please hit subscribe on the podcast channel. If you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or here on YouTube, please like the episode. And once again, just, oh man, this is a lot, but I can't say it enough. Just sheerly honestly, thank you. So on that note, that's me for me, guys. Thank you for watching, listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name's Kevin, and you guys know everything. Shoot, I messed that up. And you guys know how I end every single one of these episodes with a big, healthy, and hearty see ya! Yeah!